Max Verstappen confirms who he will race for in 2026 as Fred Vasseur is handed a new multi-year Ferrari contract announced on Media Day ahead of this weekend's Hungarian Grand Prix. From Racing News 365, my name is Nick Golding, and I'm delighted to be joined, as always, by lead editor Ian Parks with the glorious sunshine at the Hungaroring. Long may it last, I've got to say, because the forecast is not looking brilliant once again. Ian, first things first, mate, do you want to describe a little bit about where in the paddock you are in particular? Because as we know, there's been a lot of work carried out.
There's been a huge amount of work carried out at the Hungaroring. It's brought it in line with many a modern circuit. The building that you see behind me here is the brand new pit and paddock complex. Beyond that is a fabulous new grandstand as well, because that was looking quite old and decrepit, shall we say. It was something from a bygone era. And yes, things have changed considerably. So at least now the Hungaroring is up to date in terms of this, in particular, these incredible new facilities. Brought it in line, of course, with many other modern circuits around the world. And the Hungaroring is one of those old school tracks in many respects, given the circuit layout. It's one the drivers absolutely love because it reminds them of just a larger scale go-kart track. I'm going to have to keep my head in one position because otherwise the stump becomes a bit of a blinder. Anyway, not to bother. I'll do my best to keep my head still. So yeah, it's, as I say, it's a circuit all the drivers love. They love to come here. They love Budapest. And now at least they've got a facility to match the rest of the Grand Prix circuits.
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton, of course, who's won at the Hungaroring 8 times, pole position 9 times, pointed out he was shocked when he saw the new facilities for the first time. But Ian, we've got to start off with Max Verstappen, because after months of speculation, will he go to Mercedes? Will he not go to Mercedes? Well, he's not going to Mercedes, at least for 2026.
Yes, definitely. Well, what a surprise. Guess what? Max stays at Red Bull. So as we've discussed previously, came out of the last weekend's Belgian Grand Prix, confirmed top three status, should I say, going into the summer break. He will hold on to that third position, cannot be overtaken by George Russell behind him. That means the clause that was in Max Verstappen's contract, whereby he could discuss, or at least look at discuss other options about where he might go for 26, is now no longer on the table. As I say, guaranteed that third place going into the summer break, because if the only way that clause could have been activated would have been if he was outside the top three. So now we're going to have a whole 12 months of speculation going into what Max Verstappen's contract might be like going into the middle of next year, because he will have, beyond next year, 2 seasons left on that Red Bull contract. And where could Max be for 27? Well, we know from conversations that Toto Wolff has had with Max of late, it's why he has been exploring these particular options. So we can pretty much state for certain, Nick, that if Red Bull does not give Max a good car for next season, under the new regulations, if that new Red Bull powertrain's power unit is not up to scratch, Max is scrambling around for results, then I think we can pretty confidently say, even at this stage in mid-2025, that Max is likely to be somewhere different other than Red Bull in 2027, because he will be looking at the options at the start of next year. He will be looking to see which team comes flying out the traps. Could it be Mercedes? Could it be Ferrari? Could it be Aston Martin? Who knows? But Max will want to go with the best team. That could even yet be Red Bull. We do not know. Let's not completely rule it out of the equation. What I'm saying is, if the Red Bull does not have a good car next year, middle of next year, then Max may feel it is in his best interests to then move on to the team that is performing on the track across that first half of 2026, and therefore has the better advantage going into 27 in particular and beyond, given the new power unit and aerodynamic regulations for 26 onwards.
Well, we've still got 11 races to get through this season before we see the kind of pecking order for 2026. So a long way to go yet. Before we get on with carrying on for the next topic, we've got to let you guys know that over Racing News 365, we are currently running a prize giveaway. If you would like to win one of 2 Aston Martin caps we're giving away, all you've got to do is be subscribed to the Racing News 365 channel and comment below any video, but just do this one to make it easy. I want to win. It is as simple as that. If you're already subscribed, also just comment I want to win. It's all you've got to do. The competition will close at the end of the Hungarian Grand Prix, with the winners to be contacted next week. Ian, moving on, Fred Vasseur, of course, he's also not going anywhere, despite, we had the Italian media rumours going on a little while ago. Everybody came out defending Fred, and it's fair to say Ferrari clearly have a lot of confidence in him because he's got a new multi-year deal.
Supposedly, Nick, and the reason why I use the word supposedly is because Carlos Sainz came out with a fabulous comment. As we know, Carlos moved from Ferrari to Williams over the winter break to make way for Lewis Hamilton. Carlos mentioned the fact that Ferrari often come out with these kind of statements just to allay all the rumors and all the gossip, and just to reaffirm Fred's position that he is their guy and he's going to be their guy for a period of time to come. Fred, as we know, came in 2.5 years ago now, and what Fred is doing at Ferrari reminds me of the phrase that it's like trying to turn an oil tanker in terms of going in a different direction. And basically what I mean by that is that Ferrari's gone for such a long period of time now without a championship. It's gone through a variety of team principals over that winless or titleless period as well. Yes, it's had Grand Prix victories, but nevertheless, it's not got the titles that it's been renowned for. So as I say, Fred's not had a massive amount of time to really cement his ideas, his processes. Yes, things have been taking place throughout that 2.5 years, and he has been implementing those plans and thoughts, but nevertheless, it takes an enormous amount of time to turn an institution into Ferrari, into the way you want it to go. This is what Fred Vasseur has been doing over this period of time now. And I for one, Nick, feel that he's been doing a reasonable job, a really unreasonable, I do apologize to Fred, a really good job. Yes, he's not quite gone right on track this season, but nevertheless, we are building towards something with Ferrari, I do too.
Well, for those watching this video, let us know in the comments below if you think Fred's been doing a good job at Ferrari or not, and let us know your thoughts and opinions as to why. Ian, moving on to the McLaren drivers, and of course, Oscar Piastri comes into this weekend with a 16-point lead over Lando Norris. Some really interesting opinions between the two drivers on the title fight. Oscar very much believing it is now a two-way fight between him and Lando. Lando contradicting Oscar a bit and believes that Max Verstappen, never impossible, can't rule the Dutchman out.
Yeah, Oscar was asked in the press conference whether he felt it was a 2-horse race. And certain man has said, yeah, you could perhaps see it that way. And for the most part, you can understand why, because that is a considerable gap that both Oscar especially and Lando, a little bit less so, has over Max Verstappen right now. Given the change in the regulations that I've discussed earlier, we know that the teams are winding down quite considerably, even the front-running teams, with regard to their updates and upgrades. And we're going to see just little tweaks going forward over the second half of the season, or at least post the summer break anyway. So if Max does not come out of this weekend in a better position than we've seen coming into it, then pretty much, yes, I would suggest it's a 2-horse race. But you've got to give Lando Norris a little bit of credit as well, because the bottom line is, while Max is still in that picture, regardless of the gap, the way it stands now, you cannot totally rule it out of the equation. And I think that's a fair assumption, but I think we have been slowly heading towards this 2-horse race, and I would be surprised if it's going to be anything other than that post-summer break going into the final 10 races
10.
of the season.
Yeah, Max finds himself now 81 points behind, which feels like a bit of a tall order. But if anybody is
Yeah.
going to make up that deficit, my money, and I'm not a betting man, would be on Max Verstappen. Ian, just finally, we've got to mention George Russell, of course, because with Max confirming his future to Red Bull for next season, you would imagine that it means that George will be sticking with Mercedes. Nothing confirmed yet, but George, kind of gave the impression that, yeah, he'll be sticking with the Silver Arrows.
Sounds pretty obvious, doesn't it? In all fairness, because if Max isn't going to be there next season, then nobody else is. So, what can we expect from Mercedes? Well, pretty much affirmation that it's going to be George and Kimi going forward into 2026. Kimi, of course, as we know, has had quite a poor run of form, but nevertheless, he is seen as a generational talent. The car, since changes were made early this season, have really not suited him. He has really struggled to get to grips with it. And as we've seen with many a driver, once the car changes its behavior, then it doesn't matter how good that driver is, it really becomes difficult for that driver to then try and get on top of it, try and get a handle on it as they were previously enjoying. Because as we know, over the first 6 races of this season, Kimi was really proving his worth and showing why he'd been promoted into that race seat alongside George Russell at such an early age, just 18 years old. As I say, it's been a real struggle for him over the latter part of this, or the middle part of this season, since F1 turned towards Europe, with the only saving grace for him, the only bright spot being that wonderful third place of his in Canada. But yes, for George Russell, actually turned on the little media. I turned on the little media, turned on the media a little bit by saying it was us that had made more of a deal about his future than had previously been the case. Well, sorry, George, it was actually you that brought Max Verstappen into the conversation in a Sky Sports interview that you did about a month or so back, basically saying that Max's contract talks, or sorry, Max's talks with Mercedes were holding up your own contract talks with Mercedes. So, yeah, we've built on that. And, Toto Wolff has not at any stage turned round and said, most recently, George and Kimi are absolutely my guys for 2026. No, Toto has played on it a little bit as well. And he's, referred to the talks that have taken place with Max because he's wanted to explore what Max's options are for the future. So don't quite blame us, George. Yes, of course, we're media. Of course, we love to make a little bit more out of things than maybe they might ordinarily be. That's our job. We want to get people interested. We want to get people reading our articles, watching our videos. But George, you were the one that really sent this snowball rolling, even if it might have turned into something much bigger than you really did not want to see.
An interesting comment from George, to say the least. Ian, amazing stuff. As always, to those who've been watching this video, please do like this video and subscribe to the channel, not only if you want a chance of winning one of 2 Aston Martin caps, but just in case you enjoy our content. Your support, as always, means the world as we push towards 25,000. Be sure to join Ian and I post Friday sessions on Friday for the next F1 update. See you later.
I've got those 2 caps sitting at home waiting to post out to our lucky winners. So please do subscribe. And thanks ever so much, as always, for watching and listening. Take care, folks.